What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I've got a subscriber story that was sent in to me about the worst gamer rage I think I've ever heard a story about. Alright, it's about a subscriber's brother. But, you know, before we get into it, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam whatsoever. Your roommate is going to have gamer rage worse than this, and trust me, that's not something you want, so press the like button and let's go.
Nice rack and her ass Brazilian. Just turned 21, but my bank's a million.
Alright, I guess sometimes siblings really don't get along. Me and my brother get along alright, so I can't really relate to this, but I guess the subscriber that sent this in had a twin brother that was basically the equivalent of like an evil twin from a cartoon. His brother was just the exact opposite of him. You know, the person who sent this in likes to consider themselves kind of friendly, kind of nice, and their twin brother was literally like a demon spawn. He was mean to literally everybody, like to the point where he would just pull kids' hair when they were younger for no reason. He never ever was nice to anyone. He would like fight his parents over everything. One time his mom made green beans for dinner and his brother doesn't like green beans, and instead of just not eating them, he decided that he was going to flip over the pan of food and be like, I'm not eating this garbage. On top of that, he was super addicted to video games, which, hey, you know, no harm, no foul, I am too. But instead of like getting a job to fund his habit, he just ended up stealing his parents' credit card and spent $7,000 on like different games, different DLC, weapon skins, all that stuff. And when he got caught, he was kind of like, whatever, you know, like you should have bought the skins for me when I asked and I wouldn't have had to steal them. So that was kind of what his twin brother was like, you know, just the type of guy who was the exact opposite of him. He did end up repaying his parents. It took him a year to, like, eventually pay them back, but regardless, you know, he did do that. But the entire time that he was paying them back, he just became more and more addicted to video games. And I understand that a lot of people would be like, no, that's not possible. It is. I'm not saying it's common. This is very uncommon. I want to make that clear. But this guy's brother, you know, like, definitely went too hard. If you're spending $7,000 on weapon skins that you don't have, you know, like you're just taking mom's credit card and buying weapon skins, you're probably addicted. If you haven't left your room in 3 months because you're just playing this one game over and over again, you're probably addicted. Anyways, this guy was just always in his room playing video games, screaming at his teammates, you know, always solo queuing because nobody ever wanted to play with him twice. And regardless, one time he's playing video games and it just so happened that the internet went out. And it wasn't a situation where like there was someone unplugging the router or someone did anything to it. Every now and then, as you know with technology, it just kind of stopped working. The router went out, they had to reset it. And he was in the middle of a game, so he is pissed off when this router goes off. But you know, what are you gonna do? It's not anyone's fault, right? So he comes stomping down the hallway on his way to the computer room to reset the router. And it just so happens that the subscriber is in there resetting the router at that very moment. Because, you know, the internet had gone out, he wanted it fixed too. But when his brother walks in and sees the router in his hand, he's like, oh my god, you idiot, you turned off the internet. And obviously he starts trying to explain like, no, I'm just trying to fix the internet. I didn't turn it off. I have to touch the router in order to be able to, you know, like fix the problem. And he's like, no, you turned it off on purpose. You knew I was in the middle of a game. You did this to try to ruin like my rank up game. I can't believe you would do this to me. I hate you. And he reached into this cup that they had on the desk that had scissors in it, right? And he picks up the scissors. And at that point, you know, the subscriber's not stupid. He's like, uh-oh. And he starts to run. And as he's running out the door, his brother's like, stop messing with the internet. And he throws the scissors. And the throwing knife and gets stuck in the subscriber's thigh, dude. Like he was literally throwing scissors at his brother because he thought he had turned off the internet during a game. That's the level of gaming addiction this guy was on, alright? It wasn't playing Call of Duty for 8 hours on a Saturday. It was like throwing scissors at your brother because he turned off the internet type stuff. So, yeah, I hope that explains why this dude thinks that his brother, like, sucks, you know? I think if someone throws scissors at you, you have a pretty fair reason to think that they suck after that. But, you know, as long as he got to keep playing his video games, he really did not care. In one day in particular, he was playing the video game he was was most addicted to. I'm not gonna name it just because I don't want that game to get hate or like get a bad reputation because of it. But you know, it was the same game that he was always playing, and I used to get really mad at video games. I don't really much anymore, but like at the end of the day, when I would start to get really mad at a game, I would just get off. But for some reason, he was one of those guys where it would piss him off. He's screaming, hitting the desk, and he's like, all right, in queue for another one. And I guess this particular game that he was playing was super high stress because like if he won, he was gonna rank up. And I think everybody's been there. You know, you get on a win streak on CSGO, you're pretty sure the next game your rank up game. I know Valorant lets you know when it's your rank up game. I think League does too. I'm not too sure, but like, yeah, it was a situation where he knew the game mattered a little bit more than a normal one. And not only was he aware of that, but the entire house also knew that it was an important game because he was like screaming at the top of his lungs about it. You know, he entered the game and he's like, all right, don't play like idiots because if we mess up, like I'm not gonna rank up, which I don't feel like is a good way to get your teammates to want to help you, bro. You know, like I play a lot of team-based shooter games. This wasn't a shooter, but like similar vibe. And I'm letting you know, if you join the game and instantly start screaming at me to not suck because it's your rank up game, I'm probably just gonna mute you and not enjoy playing with you. Like, I feel like the best way to make sure that your teammates play well is to kind of be nice to them, encourage them, you know? Like, you don't have to like get on your hands and knees and tell them they're great if they suck. You can talk trash if they're garbage, but there's just no reason to start screaming at people off rip, you know? Like, the way I say it is, you don't start trash talking. You can finish it, but like, there's no reason to dunk on your teammate for no reason. But he is screaming at his teammates, like, incredibly loudly, and it's getting more and more stress, so I'm guessing the game's not going well. And he knows that his brother loses his rank up game shortly after that, because this is when the worst gamer rage of all time begins, dude. Like, there's this period where he's just screaming at his teammates, calling them idiots, saying they cost him the game and it was all their fault, which is a very common thread in like toxic teammates like this, bro. It's never their fault. No, you know, it doesn't matter how many wrong plays they made. As long as you messed up once, it's over. And so the rage starts off kind of slowly, still not okay, but like, you know, just what's expected. Like, it sounds like stuff is getting pushed off his desk. You know, like in a movie when the guy's trying to make a point, so he like puts his arm on the desk and slides all the stuff off. Kind of that type of vibe is what it sounds like. Just a bunch of items hitting the floor shortly after each other. And then there's some more yelling about like, I hate this game, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. And you know, usually his brother would rage like this, and after like a minute or two would kind of tucker himself out a bit, you know, like when a parent lets a kid have a tantrum for a little so it'll make them tired and they'll go to bed. Like it was that type of situation, you know? So usually they would just let him scream for a minute or two and he would tire out. But instead of this calming down and ending, it just kept going and kept going and kept going. And it happened that his room was next to his brother's room, and he hears his parents coming down the stairs to talk to his brother. And so they knock and they're like, hey, can you please calm down a little bit? You know, you're interrupting the entire house. And instead of being like, I'm sorry, the game just got me heated, I'll relax, he starts screaming at the parents through the door. Go away, you wouldn't understand. You guys are too old to know how stressful this is. I'm so angry right now. I'm gonna throw something through the door. And his parents just were like pretty fed up at this point, dude. He did this often, but they're like, you know, not really gonna handle that. And they say, listen, I understand that you're emotionally invested in the game, you're gonna get mad, but you can't just be running around the house screaming, breaking stuff every time you lose at a video game. You're too old to be doing that, so like, stop. And, you know, that is the first time that his parents had ever really snapped at his brother like that. Usually they'd be like, okay, we'll just calm down, you know. And at this point, he's destroyed his room. He's been yelling. But when his parents are kind of like, get over it, you're being a weenie, it almost sets off the rocket booster. Like, you know, when the rocket reaches that point in orbit where they shed the first rocket and then that booster set comes in and it just takes off. That's basically what happens. But for this dude's anger, instead of that calming him down and making him relax more, he's like, if my parents think I'm mad for a dumb reason, I better make things worse. So his door's locked and all they start hearing is stuff just getting destroyed. And like, you know, everyone's thrown a controller, maybe you've punched a monitor, but it sounds like everything is getting destroyed. Like slamming, heavy slamming on the ground, you know, stuff breaking, all that stuff, and just screaming, more and more yelling. He can't let it go without narration. He's just like, they keep telling me to stop being mad. And then another smash, just trying to make sure that it's the most anime character as humanly possible. And so the way that, I would assume the noise went down was, imagine you're at Jurassic Park. We all know that that park has accidents. It is what it is. Now imagine what it would sound like if, like, a scientist fell into the Velociraptor pit. Just like, no! Like, that's basically what's happening. He's just reeing with anger as he's, like, pushing over dressers, just, and then a slam, and then, like, I'm angry! And then another slam. And at that point, his dad is, like, trying to find the key to unlock the door, because it's one of those door locks. And finally he gets it, and they open the door, and it's almost like a Greek god standing in ruins at that point, but not a good Greek god, like one of the angry ones. Like Hades just went buck wild in Athens, dude. He's just standing there, fire all around him. It's not a very good situation. And what's worse is, like, if you're gonna get mad and destroy stuff, I think that's dumb. You probably shouldn't do it. But all things considered, destroying your own stuff seems like an especially bad way of going about things. You didn't destroy your parents' room, you just broke all the stuff that you care about. But regardless, he's standing there, and around him, he had 3 monitors on his desk. He had a cool setup. All of them are cracked or broken. And he had one vertical one in the corner that in particular was messed up. It was like he had picked it up and taken it over his knee. Like people do to, like, smash, I don't know, like break something in half, like something like a piece of wood or whatever. And he had taken this monitor and just kind of put it over his knee and, like, smashed it in half. It was cracked in the middle. And obviously the door is open, and he's just kind of standing there in the middle of this. And he was in the middle of ripping open a pillow, like, at the moment the door opened. So he's standing there, and the pillow opens, and, like, some stuffing falls out. And he looks up, and his entire family is just standing there looking at him, right? And instead of being like, well, this is embarrassing, or like, oh, I got a little angry, he just doubles down and he's like, I told you guys to get out of my room. And to try to be more intimidating after yelling, get out of my room, he puts his hands on either side of the pillow and, like, rips it open, which, all in all, he probably thought was going to be very scary, very intimidating, maybe push people away. But in all reality, all it does is look very funny because you're trying to act all threatening and like you're just ripping a pillow in half, which is probably the least threatening way to tell people to get out of your room. And this makes his brother start to laugh, which, is probably not the best idea when someone's this crazy and this mad. But at the same time, just imagine, like, trying to stand there and take someone seriously when they're threatening you, but they're just, like, ripping a pillow in half. Oh, okay, man. Yep, you got me. Ooh, run away. And so his brother looks up and he's like, are you laughing at me right now? Do you really think it's okay to be laughing at me right now when I'm so angry? And he's like, I'm sorry, I'm not, it's not that this is funny. You're just threatening me while you're destroying a pillow, and it just makes it very hard because it's kind of funny, right? And obviously that's probably not the good idea again, but it's your brother. And when it's your brother, you're just more likely to, like, make fun of him. But his twin drops the pillow and looks at him, like, dead in the eye, no emotion, no anger, nothing, and just goes, you're dead. And before he can even react, he turns around and just starts sprinting out of the house, and he hears his brother coming after him. No pillow in hand this time. Alright guys, I'm going to interrupt the video for just 1 second. If you take a look at your screen now, you'll see a gift card code. For those of you that don't know, I give one of these away in every video I post, so if you haven't yet, you should subscribe and turn on notifications because I give away free money, and if you already do, you're awesome. And while I got your attention, be sure to press the like button. Otherwise, no joke, no scam, your mom's a hoe. And yeah, without further ado, let's get back to it. And so he starts running through the house, and he hears his dad chasing after his brother, and he's like, all right, I'm just gonna get to the garage so I can just get out of here. He doesn't really know where he's going. And so he hears his dad grab his brother, and he's opening the garage door. And as he's opening his garage door, like I said, his dad catches his brother, and instead of being like, oh, it's okay, come back now, I've got him, his dad just goes, run, which has to be the most horrifying thing to hear, bro. Like, if your dad has caught your brother and he's so mad he's still telling you to run, that's horrifying. So whatever, he gets into the garage, presses the button, it starts to go. It's like the slowest garage door opening of all time. They're slow to begin with, but I feel like when you have your crazy brother chasing after you, probably with scissors, it's like a lot slower. And so he like finally gets it open, grabs his bike, and starts to pedal as fast as possible. And when he gets to the end of the driveway, he hears the door open and like he figures that it's his brother, and he's just not gonna turn around. There's no reason for him to. If he turns around and sees his brother there, it won't change the fact that he's chasing him. It'll just make it a hell of a lot harder to pedal going straight, you know? And his brother kind of sees him pedaling his bike and just lets out an anger scream, dude. Like, you know when you're playing an RPG and the boss comes out and they just go, "Rrr," like that's basically his brother just lets out a scream. And his brother didn't have shoes on when he was playing his game, but it doesn't matter. He starts to chase down his brother on this bike barefoot. And obviously, in that moment, he's hearing like the barefoot running behind him, and he starts to get relieved. He's like, okay, there's no way that this guy's gonna be able to catch up with me. He's chasing after me barefoot in the road, and I'm on a bike. But the scariest part of this entire story, bro, like when I read this, I was kind of surprised, is that it starts to get closer, and he turns around, and his brother is somehow catching up with him running barefoot down the road. Like his brother's adrenaline must have been going on absolutely 15, because I feel like I'm not doing a very good job sprinting after a bike going full speed. So he turns around and just steps on it, right? Starts pedaling as fast as he can and just gets out of his neighborhood. And across from his neighborhood was this park. So he just goes there, and for an hour, he's literally just like sitting there not knowing what to do. He had left the house in such a hurry that he didn't have his phone, so like he can't call anyone, he can't text anyone. He doesn't want to go back while his brother's still pissed off, because obviously he's mad enough to, chase him down the street, not sure what's going to happen if he goes back. And finally, he waits for a while and he goes home, and he walks in the house, and his parents are sitting on the couch, and they're both super relieved to see him. They're like, "Oh my gosh, we're so glad to see you. Are you okay? Did anything happen?" And he goes, "No, I got away. I went to the park, is everything okay?" And his parents kind of look, like sad a little bit. And they're like, "Oh, what's going on? Where is he? Like, I don't want to cause any problems." And to make this entire story so much worse, bro, like his brother throwing scissors at him, destroying his room, all this stuff, they had turned like 18 3 weeks before all of this had happened. And I guess they hadn't wanted to do it in front of the family and like embarrass him, but they had pulled his brother aside and been like, "Hey, if you keep going crazy and fighting everyone over these video games, we're gonna have to kick you out, because it's just like not safe for the rest of the family." Which sucks, but at the same time, yeah, dude, like it seems like this kid kind of gets a little bit too mad at video games and can't control it. And so his parents had decided after this that they were kicking him out, so they had made him get his stuff and leave like shortly after he had come back to the house, which obviously sucks. It sucks to be in that situation. Like I feel really bad that they even had to get to the point where they had to kick out their son. But yeah, if your son's just going bonkers and like it's just not safe in the house, you kind of got to do what you got to do. I would not want to be like in the kitchen low-key thinking about if someone's about to ninja chop me with some scissors or not. Or like, if I just tell my son to calm down, he's gonna like threaten to run down my other son on a bike. That just sounds horrifying. So whatever, he just decides to go back up to his room, and as I said, their rooms had like connecting walls, so he just decides to go into his brother's room and look around. And obviously, like, some clothes are gone, most of that stuff is gone, but the rest of that's not gone. And the reason it's not gone is because there was no reason for him to take it, because it's just absolutely destroyed, right? Usually if somebody gets mad at a video game, like, the rage is kind of contained to gaming objects, a monitor, a controller, like, maybe a keyboard. But in this dude's situation, it was like the wrath was not enough to just destroy the gaming setup, Like, don't get it wrong, that was destroyed. Like I said earlier, he had literally picked up a monitor and smashed it over his knee like it was, a thin piece of plywood. But the entire room is just smashed to pieces, dude. Kind of similar to what that guy's cousin did on Thanksgiving. Like, the entire room is just absolutely obliterated, and it was almost as if he had a checklist. Like, it was almost impressive, it was almost impressive to his brother, like, just the sheer magnitude of how much he had made sure to go through and ruin everything. He had cut open the mattress. He had made sure to, like, scratch foul language into all of the dressers and everything, so that way nobody could like use it again. He was prepared, dude. He was going psycho. But the funniest part of all of it, and yes, this part in particular is funny, not anything else since the gift card has been that funny, but this, dude, amongst it all, on the wall, written in permanent marker, was a message that just like it put into perfect words how ridiculous this was. Everything in this room is destroyed, right? Mattress cut open, everything destroyed. And on the wall in permanent marker is just push A. Yeah, bro. Oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Destroy your entire room and then write a message to your teammates that aren't in your room. First of all, if you're solo queuing and you just got a bunch of random teammates, I can promise you, none of them care if you destroy your room. They don't live there. Like, why would they care if your room is destroyed? And also, if the game is over, how are they supposed to read your wall? Even if the game is going, they can't read it. So, like, you literally destroyed your entire room writing messages on the wall to people that are never going to think about you again. Like, if I have a bad teammate in Valorant, I'm not sitting there thinking about them the rest of the day. You know, it wasn't Valorant, but, like, I don't think about it forever. I just kind of forget that person existed. And so he kind of starts laughing at it, and his parents walk up, and they're like, that's not funny, you know? Like, either way, this was a very traumatic experience today. And he's like, I mean, come on, look. He's, like, so mad at a video game, he wrote it on the wall. And, you know, all together, they start, like, emptying out all the trash. And after a bit, you know, his parents are like, we're exhausted. We're going to go into our room for a bit. Is that okay? And he's like, yeah, whatever. I'll finish cleaning up. And so his parents go into his parents' room, right? And he's cleaning up the room. And it just so happens that he's taking the trash down and he overhears a little bit of the conversation, you know. And his parents are talking about the situation. And, like, obviously they're not too stoked about it, but they're not absolutely flabbergasted. The escalation had been coming for a while, and they're like, yeah, you know, he had been getting out of control for a while. I knew we were probably gonna have to kick him out after the scissors incident, but it's just sad that he made it get to this point. And they're like, yeah, you know, obviously it really sucks. I just think it's gonna be better for, like, the rest of the kids in the house overall. And then they start talking about how, like, I just don't want his brother to feel guilty, right? Because, you know, if your twin gets kicked out and one of the last straws was, like, him attacking you, whatever, you could feel guilty. He didn't feel guilty at all. He's like, nah, dude, after that dude threw scissors at me and got him stuck in me, like, I just don't necessarily feel like vibing with him. So he opens the door at that point because they're talking about him and whatever. He was eavesdropping, but, like, he didn't feel bad, I guess. I don't know. It is kind of weird, bro. Don't spy on your parents. So he opens the door and he's like, hey, are you guys talking about what happened? And they're like, yeah, you know, we just want to make sure that you're okay. Like, or how are you doing? Obviously, that's your twin brother, da-da-da-da-da. And he kind of explains what I said. He's like, obviously, I never wanted my brother to go crazy. I never wanted my brother to get kicked out. Like, none of that was ever on my bucket list of things that I really, really hoped happened. But yeah, after he's like destroying everything all the time, fighting with everybody over everything and throwing scissors at me, I kind of stopped trusting him. Like, he's still my brother, I still love him, but I don't trust a guy that'll throw scissors at me. And so, you know, they're like, yeah, well, if there's anything we can do to make you feel better, literally anything at all, you just let us know and, like, we'll make it happen because we understand this is probably going to be really hard on you. And, you know, he's kind of like, okay, I don't want to use this to my advantage because the situation sucks, but if they're asking me if there's anything that I want, you know, the room's empty. So he looks at his parents and he's like, hey, I know that I go to college in a bit, but until I leave, you know, could I use that room as like a gaming room? Like, could I use it as a little office? And his parents had a plan that when they went to college, they were going to like use it as a gym, you know, and turn it into a workout studio, but they were saving money for equipment. So his parents were like, yeah, whatever. Since you're going to college in a year, I guess you could use his room as your little office, you know. And so he like finishes cleaning up his brother's room. They move out all the broken stuff. A couple days later, you know, he doesn't do it that day. He wasn't that hyped, but like he moves his desk and his gaming setup in there. And sure enough, the room that his brother had like destroyed into a million pieces for getting mad at a video game ended up being his brother's gaming room for an entire year, which, you know, I understand that's probably normal for people that like have their own house or whatever. But all in all, having a gaming room sounds pretty dope, bro. Like, you know, you just go in, that's where you get mad at Valorant, you know, you can still go to sleep in your room. And as for like the situation with his brother just thinks that the family is crazy. He doesn't realize that, you know, he might be a little bit at fault for some stuff. Like literally, he still accuses his brother of purposely laughing at him because he knew it was going to make him crazy so that way he could get kicked out, which, you know, seems a little bit 7 billion IQ to me. Like, hey, I don't know for sure, but if this dude really did laugh at his brother just to bait him into chasing him down the road barefoot so fast he caught up with a bike, then like that was the most accurate bait hate of all time. I don't think you could predict that happening even if you wanted to make somebody do that, dude. Like, nah, I'm gonna piss him off enough that he's gonna become a superhuman for a little bit. Like, I don't think that happens. Even then, dude, if your parents are hooking you up, paying for all your gaming stuff and whatnot, and you proceed to, like, break the one rule they told you not to break or they were gonna kick you out, and then they kick you out, that's kind of on you. That's like spitting in your own face, basically. Regardless, though, you know, if you get mad at video games every now and then, it's alright. That's pretty normal. But if you're ever finding yourself, like, wanting to throw scissors at people because they turned off the internet, go outside, touch some grass. I promise things are more important than this. Obviously, this is a very abnormal story. I don't think most gamers are like this. Like, I play video games. I've never thrown scissors at anyone. But I just thought it was an insane story you guys would enjoy. But that's gonna do it. If you did enjoy it, I'd really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. This is the longest video I've done in a while, so if you like the longer videos, be sure to press the like button and let me know in the comment section down below so I can do more. And while you're down there, subscribe and turn on those notifications so you never miss another video. Other than that, if you really want to help me out, you could, of course, check out the intro song. Link will be in the description, along with a link to my podcast, the Scubs, or you could use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout. It's a great way to get a discount on G Fuel and get yourself a discount, help me out. So literally everyone's a winner, you know? So if you're getting yourself G Fuel, go for it. And last but certainly not least, I went ahead and put some of my story times up on Spotify so you guys could listen to them offline, or, you know, if you don't want to watch gameplay, whatever. So that link's at the top of the description. Be sure to go check that out. And yeah, on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. And hopefully I'll see you guys all next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.